Okay, so let's begin with the session. So today's session is going to be focused on the basic questions of data caselet, which are Venn diagram based. And the favorite question that Kat has started asking these days is the questions based on maxima minima concept. So it's basically a mixture of concept of maxima minima applied on data caselet in the form of a Venn diagram, right? So because it involves three kinds of concepts together, so that's what makes it little difficult for students to attempt it and understand it and have the accuracy maintained there. So this is what today's session is going to be targeted at. That is, it is not at all difficult. In fact, if you look at the shortcut that we are going to discuss about this topic, you will find that it is so very simple to apply it. So the target for today's class is going to be solving those questions of maxima minima, which are Venn diagram based, asked under the category of data caselets. So the very basic shortcut of attempting this category of question is based on having the understanding of the basic concept. So I believe that you can understand a concept and understand a shortcut only when you are thorough with the fundamental concept, and you must remember it for your preparation also. That is, whenever you're preparing for CAT, whenever you're preparing for any topic, right? So keep that in mind, that just going through with shortcuts and understanding a particular question is not the right way of preparing. You must be preparing in a way that you are clear with your fundamental concepts, because this is what is actually being tested in past few years in CAT. That is, what is your actual fundamental concept clarity. Without that, let me bet you that you will not be able to make it, right? So you will have to have your fundamental concept clarity at the utmost level. Only then you can attempt those twisted questions there, right? And that actually, let me just put that point forward now. That is the basic USP of Bullseye, that we do not focus on just solving questions. We focus on the fact that a student must have the concept clarity, and then we can discuss any level of questions wherein a very little help will be needed for you guys, because your concept will be ultimately clear. So let's see what the concept of Venn diagram is. So if you're aware of a basic Venn diagram, so Venn diagram is basically done in 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimensions, right? So today's class will keep focused on 2 dimensional and 3 dimensional Venn diagrams. So when you talk about a 2 dimensional Venn diagram, I'm sure you must have seen these kind of diagrams that you talk about in Venn diagram, and you put it in a box. Why do you put it in a box is very, very important, which normally people forget, because there is a value sometimes kept here also. Now, what does this indicate? Suppose we talk about two languages here, right? Suppose we talk about English speaking people and Hindi speaking people. Suppose I write some numbers here. Suppose I write 5 here, 6 here, 2 here, and say 3 here. These numbers indicate something. What does this 5 indicate? You can answer your whatever you want to tell me as an answer. You can write it down in the chat window, right? So let's make the class interactive, and in that way you will learn better. So what do you think this 5 indicates? What is this number 5 indicating? 5 is the number of people who speak which language? Rajvi, Harshita, Rajni, please put forward your answer. No, Rajni, it's not English. You should say only English. That's very important here, not to miss out the word only. It really matters a lot, Rajni, when you're solving questions on Venn diagram. So you will say that these 5 people are the ones who only speak English. Why? Because they are not included in Hindi at all. Is that clear to you, Rajni? Similarly, if I ask you, what does this number 6 represent? So 6 will represent people who speak only Hindi, right? So these are the people who speak only Hindi. What does this number 2 indicate? 2 indicates people who speak both the languages, right? What does this 3 indicate? This 3 indicates people who speak none of the 2 languages, right? So what does this structure remind you of? This is only English, this is only Hindi, this is both English and Hindi, and this will be neither Hindi nor English, right? Clear to all of you? Any problem till here? Now, if I want to ask you from this particular question, how many people speak English? So, Rajni, what mistake you were doing? You were answering 5 itself as the answer for people speaking English. But now we know that for people speaking English, I have to take the entire circle of English. So that will be 7. How many people speak Hindi? So I'm not using the word only now. So you have to take all those people who speak Hindi. That means all those people who lie in the circle of Hindi. And they are 8 such people, right? Is that clear? So English will be made up of this 5 plus 2. Hindi will be made up of this 6 plus 2. Now, if I ask you how many people speak both the languages, that is definitely 2. How many people speak none of the languages? That is 3. Any problem with any of the answers written on the screen here? Any problem till here? Okay, now answer this question. What is the total number of people you are talking about in this question? What is the total number of people you are talking about in this question? Tell me. 16, that's correct. So total number of people being talked about in this question is 5 plus 2 plus 6 plus 3. Right, that's correct. So that's how a Venn diagram is represented. Now remember, if the word only is used, then you know these figures individually. But if the word only has not been used, you know that the entire circle of English is 7. Right? But you don't know its bifurcation unless you are given this. All right. So you need to be very careful about whether the only word is mentioned there or not mentioned there. That's a first very common silly mistake people do. That is ignoring the fact that the word only has been used or not used. Right? Are we clear till here? So that is the first basic fundamental you need to be very much aware of. Let's move ahead from here. Now, suppose you know in a question that it doesn't talk about anything like an only information. The entire information, your question says that there are 10 people who speak English, right? And there are, say, 12 people who speak Hindi, and there are, say, 5 people who speak both the languages, right? And everyone speaks at least one of the languages. My question to you is, what is the total number of people you are talking about? Now, what does this mean here? Again, a very important second fundamental fact, that is, when your question says that all the people you are talking about speak at least one of the 2 languages, what does that mean? That number, none, is given as 0 to me. Why? Because people who speak neither English nor Hindi is given to you as 0. Why? Because at least one of the languages is being definitely spoken by them. Is that clear? So if this word is given to you, don't ever miss it out. That's the second important fundamental concept I'm talking about, right? So this word indicates that this none value is given to you as 0, right? Now, if you're trying to fill up this Venn diagram, always start filling up from the innermost value. Both is given as 5. So I know that this number is 5. Let's say this circle is for English. This circle is for Hindi. Now, you know that the total for English is 10 because I have not used the word only here. So this is the total for English is 10. So obviously this number has to be 5. Similarly, the total for Hindi is 12. That means this number has to be 7. Is that clear? So this is how your Venn diagram is getting completely filled up. Any problem till here? Right. Now you must be aware of another formula also that is a lot of times used in these questions. That is, number of elements in A union B is number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus number of elements in A intersection B. Are you all aware of this formula? Anyone needs clarity on this formula? Number of elements in A union B is number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus number of elements in A intersection B. Why do we do that? Because A covers all this. B will cover this part. Okay, I'm explaining, Shubhra. So A covers this blue shading. B covers this red shading. What you notice here is that this center region has been counted 2 times. Do you notice this? The center region has been counted 2 times. So I have subtracted it once so that now everything is getting counted only once. And whatever has been covered in these three regions together is called as the union. Shubhra, it's clear to you now? So what we call as a union is something which is covered here, something which is covered here, and something which is covered here. All the three portions need to be taken. So when you take number of elements in A, you take this entire circle. When you take number of elements in B, you take this entire circle. So obviously this middle portion has been counted 2 times, which you need to subtract once. So this is a formula which is used a lot of times by us in such questions also. So that is the very basic concept of Venn diagram. And as I said, after making this concept clarity for you now, so this is what we have discussed, let's take up a question now. So now I am sure you will be able to solve this question after having discussed the very basic theory. Then we will extend it to maxima minima also. Okay, quickly tell me the answer to this question. So do you notice those important things I have talked about? At least is given to you. That means none is certainly zero in your question. Okay, Rajvi has given the answer. Anyone else wants to give the answer? First of all, please, all of you change your setting to all panelists and attendees so that you can see each other's answers also. Change your setting to all panelists and attendees. Okay, Nikhil's answer is also 1900. Anybody else wants to give the answer? Okay, so 1900 is definitely the correct answer. Let's see how. There are 1500 people who can speak Hindi. Please mind it, it's not only Hindi. That means it is the entire circle of Hindi that is being talked about, which is given to you as 1500. Then it says that 920 can speak English, which means that this entire circle is given to you as 920. Then it says that 520 speak both the languages. So this common portion is given to you as 520. So that's what I was telling you in the previous question also. If this number is 520, obviously this number will be 920 minus 520. This will be 1500 minus 520. This is one approach if you're solving the question with the virtue of Venn diagram. But obviously formula will be much easier for you to understand here. Why? Because the question is just asking you find the value of P. That is the total number of people. So the formula that we just discussed was number of people in A union B, which is like English and Hindi here, will be given by number of elements in the first one, which is 1500, number of people in the second one, which is 920, minus the number of people in the intersection, which is 520. So you notice that this subtraction is 400. So the answer comes out to be 1900. That is option number 4. Is that clear? So basically, you could have done this question by Venn diagram also. You could have done this question by formula also. How do you decide in the exam which method is going to be better? Now remember this tip. If your question gives you the information about only English, only Hindi, if you see that kind of an information for you in the question, please always use Venn diagram. If your question gives you the information like English, Hindi, and only word is missing, that means it is telling you the entire English and entire Hindi, then always prefer the formula method. All right. So that's how you decide. If your question gives you only kind of an information, Venn diagram will always prove to be better and faster. And if your question does not use the word only, it says the entire English, entire Hindi is given to you, use formula method. That will certainly be faster and easier for you. All right, are we all clear with this? So this is a very, very basic question. Obviously, I'm going to increase the level of difficulty of this question, but gradually. Are we all clear with this? Okay, so please keep responding your doubts and your answers in the chat window. Let's solve this question now. Again, a simple one. And from the next question, we will come down to the concept of maxima minima. Okay, that's correct, Rajvi. Anybody else wants to answer it? Okay. So in a group of 140 people, now you know that the total number of people are 140. There are some people who like coffee and there are some people who like tea. So again, if you notice, it's not only coffee or only tea. So what suggestion I gave you just in the previous question is prefer formula in such questions. So you know that union is given to you as 140 because we are talking about 140 people and they all like at least one of the two drinks. That means this 140 is the union of coffee and tea. So it will be representing the union of coffee and tea, right? So your question becomes 140 is given as the union, 74 like coffee, 104 like tea, and both is missing in my question. So obviously, what is the answer of this both? It is going to be 74 plus 104 minus 140, which is like simply 38, telling me that second option is the right answer. Is that clear to all of you? Clear to all of you? And I hope it's now clear to you that under such questions, when the only word is missing, formula will always prove to be very fast, right? Now, after doing these two very, very basic questions, wherein there was no maxima, no minima, only a precise answer was coming up. Now, let's talk about maxima, minima questions on this concept. So, after having understood the basic concept, so this is for a three-dimensional Venn diagram. If you talk about three units at a time, A, B, and C, then the union, number of elements in union will always be number of elements in the first one plus second plus third minus intersection of two at a time plus intersection of all three at a time, right? I'm sure you must be aware of this formula, right? So number of elements in the complete circle A, number of elements in the complete circle B, and C added. So how do you remember it? Singles are added, doubles are subtracted, and then triplet is added, right? So this formula will be again helpful for us, but only when there are three things being talked about. For example, there is English, Hindi, and German being talked about. Okay, let's see the application of this in maxima minima concept. Let's attempt this question. In a class, each one likes at least one subject among English, Hindi, and Punjabi. So this question is of three dimension as we are talking about three subjects now. We are talking about English, Hindi, as well as Punjabi, right? The question says that there are 120 students who like English. So the total for English is 120. There are 90 students who like Hindi, and the number of students who like Punjabi in totality is 140. The question is asking for what is the maximum possible number of students who like all the three subjects. That means the question is not asking for the precise value of all. The question is asking for what is this shaded portion's maxima. Okay. So Nikhil has quickly given the answer because obviously if you know the shortcut, you know the answer very quickly. You don't have to do any kind of a calculation here. Anybody else apart from Nikhil knows the answer? Okay, so the logic is very, very simple here. If you want to maximize these people, I cannot maximize it beyond 90 because this portion, shaded portion, indicates people who speak English as well as Hindi as well as Punjabi. What can be maximum such people? Obviously, the maximum such people cannot be more than 90 because Hindi people are only 90 in number, right? If I take even 91, that one person doesn't speak Hindi. So how is he being counted here? So what is the shortcut? The shortcut says that if the question talks about maximum intersection, what you do is the numbers given in the question, take their minimum. So you take the minimum of 90, 120, and 140. What is the minimum of these numbers? It is going to be 90 only. Is that clear? So the shortcut is simply take the minimum of the three numbers given to you. Is that clear to you? Everybody clear with this question of maxima? Now let me extend this question further. Suppose your question doesn't stop here. Your question says that after doing this, tell us that how many people speak Hindi and English. How many people speak Hindi and English? Let me see what answer you give. So we have decided that, okay, the common people in all the three languages are 90. This we have decided till here. So I'm extending the question further. After finding out that the intersection of all three is 90, question is asking you how many of them speak Hindi and English. How many people speak Hindi and English? Quickly tell me the answer. This is English, this is Hindi, this is Punjabi. Quickly fill up the Venn diagram and find out the answer for this. Yes, come on, tell me the answer. Not that lengthy a calculation here. Okay, let me give you a hint. 120 students are for English, 90 students are for Hindi, and the number of students who like Punjabi are 140. Okay, use this and fill up the Venn diagram inside. That is the hint. Fill up the Hindi circle first. Okay, let's take another hint. Fill up the Hindi circle first. The totality of Hindi circle was supposed to be what? It was supposed to be 90, which is already here. This is the entire circle of Hindi. So obviously all these three numbers will be 0. That's correct, because I've already made up a total of 90 for Hindi here. Now come down to English. 90 is this, right? I'm still left with 30. I'm still left with 30. So if I'm still left with 30, where will that 30 go? Will that 30 come here, or will that 30 come here, or is it dicey for me? Am I sure about that 30 going where, or is it dicey for me? Tell me that. It is, of course, dicey for you, right? It is, of course, going to be dicey for you. But I don't even care about these kind of numbers being filled up. I know the total is going to be 30. So I can have a situation where I have a 0 here and a 30 here, and I can keep the rest of the value, say 50 here, right? So I can fill up the Venn diagram here, where these numbers can be manipulated in a other manner also. But the question is not even asking about English and Punjabi. The question is only asking you how many people speak Hindi and English. I have filled up that figures for you. Now you tell me the answer. How many people speak Hindi and English? Quickly tell me the answer. The Venn diagram is right now filled up for you. How many people speak English and Hindi? Okay, Nikhil is answering 0. Avantika is also answering 0. Rajni's answer is also 0. Okay. Anybody else would like to answer it? 0 is the wrong answer. 0 is the wrong answer, and a very common mistake. No, Kushagra, even 30 is wrong. Okay, only Komal has given the correct answer. Harshita, your answer is also wrong. Look at the question. How many people speak Hindi and English? What do you mean by Hindi and English? People who speak Hindi and English. Where is that? It is here. People who speak Hindi and English is here. I did not use the word only. Did I use the word only? So why did you assume that I'm asking for only? As I told you in the beginning, only is a very important number, a word to be noticed in Venn diagram questions, which you missed out. I did not use the word only. When you guys were answering it as 0, you assumed it. The question was, how many people speak Hindi and English? So Hindi, English is this region. And this region was 0 plus 90, that is 90. So the correct answer is 90. Is that clear to all of you? So this is how these questions come to you in CAT. And please expect the question will not end here. They will ask you something more than this also. Is everybody clear? Any doubts still here? So what have we learned? We have learned that whenever the question talks about maxima of this intersection, I'll come to that part, Shubhra, again. If your question talks about maxima of this portion, then please remember it will be the minimum of the numbers given to you. So the minimum of these three numbers was 90. That means the maximum such intersection can be 90. Now let me just explain for what Shubhra is asking. Shubhra, what did I tell you? When I was filling up this Venn diagram, let me just explain it again. I said that this was English, Hindi, Punjabi. I might have changed the order here. I think it's going to be same. So 120 students were for English, right, Shubhra? 90 students liked Hindi and 140 liked Punjabi. So I had extended the question further. That is, after finding this maximum number, which you got as 90, right, Shubhra? So I told you that I have to now fill up the rest of the Venn diagram. So for Hindi, it is quite simple for me because the total of the Hindi's circle was 90. So of course, all other numbers have to be 0 in Hindi, right? Now, when you came down to English, total was 120. I know that 90 has already been taken care of. 30 more was needed. So Shubhra, I said, it is dicey here where that 30 will go. That 30 can be here, that 30 can be here. I can have a 20 here and a 20 here. But I know that the total of these two blue dots will certainly be 30. Right? So I made it very simple for you. I said, let's take one such case where this is 0 and this is 30. This is one such case, Shubhra. Obviously, this is not like a sure one. That is why I have filled it up with blue, right? The sure ones I have filled up with red color. Now let's go down to Punjabi. Punjabi's total was 140, out of which 90 has already been taken care of. So 50 more was needed. So I kept a 50 here. But I told you, Shubhra, after filling these three figures, that is, these three can be manipulated. How can they be manipulated? I could have made this 30 as 10 here and 20 here, and then 10 here and 40 here. Right, Shubhra? So that kind of manipulation is possible for these three values which I have written in blue. But the ones which I have written in red are fixed for me. And deliberately, I had asked you the question about only the fixed ones. I asked you a question, how many people speak English and Hindi? But I did not use the word only here. It was English and Hindi. So Shubhra, you were supposed to write down English and Hindi's intersection. So English-Hindi intersection is this entire leaf, which was made up of two sure figures. Those sure figures were 0 and 90. So the answer was 90. Is that clear to you now, Shubhra? Yeah. But if I ask you how many people speak only English, you will say we cannot determine it because we don't know how this 30 can be split here, right? So if I ask you how many people speak only English, you will say can't be determined because we don't know if this 30 is going to be entirely here or 10 here, or 20 here, or 5 here, 25 here. We don't have any such information given in the question. Right, Shubhra? It's clear to you now? Okay, so these are the kind of questions that you can expect to be asked in CAT. Obviously, not the ones that we did the first and the second question. So the first and second question was just done to have the fundamental concept clarity of the topic and to tell you that even after doing those two questions, you made a mistake of not taking care of the fact that only word was not given in my question, right? So that is why it's very important for you to have a fundamental concept clarity also. Only then you can be sure that you're not going to make silly mistakes, right? So let's move ahead and look at another question of this type. So anybody having any doubts till here? Any doubts till here, or should I proceed ahead? Okay, let's proceed to the next question then. Now you give it a try. It's an easier one, talking about only two things at a time. So it's a 2D Venn diagram. The question is asking for what is the least number that must have liked both the products. So the previous one was for maximum. This one is for minimum. Any answers? Okay, so for maximum, I have told you a shortcut. For maximum, you have to just take the minimum of the two numbers given to you. That, Nikhil, that is for maximum, right? Had this question been for what is the maximum number of people that will like both, then you will say that I will take minimum of the two numbers and the answer will be 1680, right, Nikhil? So 1680 will be the answer for maximum. This question is for minimum, right? Now, what your mind says is that in a Venn diagram, no number can be negative, but yes, a number can be 0. So let me tell you the approach for minimum questions, right? So as I have given you a shortcut for maximum, shortcut for maximum is take the minimum of the numbers given to you in the question. For minimum, the shortcut approach is you would want this least number that is being asked in the question to be 0 because obviously I can't have negatives in Venn diagram. So the question is, what is the least number that must have liked both the products? So if I want to make it 0, I will keep it a 0 here, right? So the approach of the shortcut is try and make it 0 and see if it works or not. Of course, 0 will not work because it's not there in my options only. But yes, it will give you a hint of what the answer is going to be. So if I try to make this number 0, what will happen? The number of people who liked A were 1800. So obviously the entire 1800 will come here now, because the total for A's circle was supposed to be 1800. And the total for B's circle was supposed to be 1680, which comes entirely here. But obviously 0 is a wrong number. Why? What is the mistake? The mistake is that if I add these three people, it should match with 3000, whereas it is not matching with 3000. What is it exceeding with? If I add these three numbers, that is 1800, 1680 and the 0 which I've kept in the middle, I am getting 3480. This precisely tells you that I have exceeded from the actual value by 480. That means this number cannot be 0, it will be 480. So the minimum will be obtained by applying this shortcut. All right, so this shortcut works very well. That is, whichever number is being asked as a minimum for you in the question, try and make it 0. It will, if it doesn't give you any error, then obviously 0 is the right answer. If it gives you an error, by whatever value the error comes out is, that becomes your answer. So I know that my error was of the value 480, so 480 will be my answer. All right, so the actual logic, this is just a shortcut. What is the actual logic? The actual logic is, if I try to make it 0 here, right, I am getting the sum exceeding by 480. So if this number is 480, what will happen? This 480 will get adjusted here. So this will be reduced by 480. This will also be reduced by 480. Now what will happen? When I add all of them, so this plus this was exceeding by 480, which is getting subtracted here, and these two also cancel out. Now everything is settled. That is the logic behind it. All right. So just remember the shortcut. The shortcut is whichever is being asked as a minima, take it as 0. If there is no error, then obviously 0 becomes your answer. If there is an error, then whatever the error is, that becomes your answer. Is everybody clear with the shortcut? Right? And you could have done this by using the formula also. You can simply use the formula concept also. That is, 3000 is equal to 1800 plus 1680 minus intersection. But then remember, this is not equal to here, because the question has not said that everyone likes either A or B. This 3000 will be actually greater than equal to this. So that is the concept that could have been applied. So I think this is more complicated and technical to talk about. This is a better shortcut to remember, right? Otherwise, yes, you can do it technically also by using this concept. Everybody clear with the shortcut? So I'm just repeating. For maxima, what you do is you take minimum of the numbers given in your question whose intersection this will be. For the question of minima, keep that value as 0. If there is no error that is coming down by filling the Venn diagram, then your answer becomes 0. If there is an error, then that error itself will become your answer. All right. And by error, what we mean is something becoming negative, something exceeding by some value, whatever the error comes out to be. Is the shortcut clear to all of you? Nikhil, Rajvi, Avantika, Shubhra, everybody clear with the shortcut? Okay, let's attempt another question and see. Now you have to find out using the shortcut which I have told you. So this particular question is clubbing both the shortcuts. It is talking about maxima as well as minima, because look at the options. It is looking for a range. That is, you have to find minima as well as maxima. Do it now. That's correct. So what did I tell you? The shortcut for minima will be, you try to make that value 0, which is being asked as minima. Okay, let's take maxima first. Maxima is easy to get away with. For maxima, what you take is just the minimum of the two numbers. So what is the minimum of the two numbers, 63 and 76? It is 63. So my maxima is going to be 63. That immediately tells me, okay, option 4 is the only possible answer. Why invest time in finding minima? But of course, obviously, CAT will never do that so easy for you. They will definitely have another option having maxima 63. So then you'll have to find out the minima to eliminate, say, suppose I keep a 37 here. So I will have to see what is the minima. Is it 37 or is it 39? So for minima, the shortcut that I told you was try and make that value as 0. So the both value was missing. I have kept it as 0. So obviously 63 will be here, 76 will be here. But these are in percentages. What is the error that you're going to get? The error that you're going to get is the percentage of totality will be 63 plus 0 plus 76, right? Which is exceeding 100. Why is it exceeding 100? Because it comes out to be 139. So it is exceeding 100 by how much? It is exceeding 100 by 39. So the error is 39 getting exceeded. So your answer will be 39 here. Why? You can see for yourself. With 39, that error will go off. Why? Because if I have a 39 here, I will have 76 minus 39 here and 63 minus 39 here. When you add all of them, obviously you're getting 100. So the error is removed. All right. Everybody clear? Okay, so the shortcut is clear in your mind now, I think. All right. So let's just take up another question of this category, wherein you will have to do a little bit more of an effort because now I'm applying this concept on 3D. Similar question, but yes, being applied on 3D. And it is talking about maxima. Easy for you to identify because I've already told you the shortcut for maxima is very, very simple. For maxima, what you do is you take minimum of the numbers given in the question whose intersection is going to be this. Minimum of those numbers given in the question whose intersection is going to be this. Find out. So what is missing in the question? I think you would have noticed it by now. What is missing is the innermost intersection. So this is X, this is Y, this is Z, right? X is given to you as 200, Y is given to you as 300, and Z is given to you as 400. 150 is given for both X and Y. So remember, it's not only here. Don't do that mistake. 150 is this entire leaf. 125 is going to be for Y and Z. That is this entire leaf. And 80 is for Z and X. That is this entire leaf. All right. So these three entire leaves are given to you as 150, 125, and 80. We should be talking about maximum how many shareholders. Obviously, what is the number missing in the question is this innermost intersection, right? Now, as I said, whenever your question doesn't talk about only, formula is always a better method. Your formula says that if I'm interested in finding the number of shareholders, that means I'm interested in finding the union of X, Y, and Z. What does our formula say? Number of elements in X plus number of elements in Y plus number of elements in Z minus the intersection of X and Y, intersection of X and Z, intersection of Y and Z, plus the intersection of all three of them. This is missing in my question. Rest all values are given to me. So X is given to you as 200, Y is given to you as 300, Z is given to you as 400. Intersection of X and Y is given to you as 150. Intersection of X and Z is given to you as 80. And intersection of Y and Z is given to you as 125. I just don't know this value. That's it. This value is to be substituted here, and it should be substituted in such a way that I get maximum number of shareholders. Obviously, this value is to be added here. If this value is coming at its maxima, automatically this will be also at its maxima, right? Because this answer is getting obtained by adding this unknown here, right? Are you all clear with this answer? So your answers are wrong. That is why I'm explaining it again. This value needs to be added here, Avantika and Kushagra. This value is getting added here. So if I want to maximize the union, I have to maximize this number also. Is that clear to you, Avantika and Kushagra? Because you both have done the same mistake, right? So what is the question basically focusing on? The maximum value of the innermost intersection. Go back to that diagram. What was that innermost portion? It was the intersection of those three leaves. And I said for maximum, the shortcut is take the minimum of those numbers whose intersection is going to be the region you are trying to maximize. So if you're trying to maximize the innermost intersection, you know that it is going to be made up of these three numbers intersection. So I will be taking minimum of 150, 125 and 80. And that number is going to be 80. So the maximum value of the innermost intersection is going to be 80, and that value is to be used here. All right, so your answer will not be 545. Is that clear to you, Avantika and Kushagra? Now calculate it again and tell me the answer. So this value needs to be taken as 80. Okay, quickly tell me the answer then. Obviously, this much of addition is 900. This minus 80 plus 80 will cancel out. Then minus of 275 gives me 625 as the answer. Yes, that's correct. Everybody clear with the answer? So the answer is going to be 625. All right. So what have you basically realized in today's questions that you have taken up? And we'll come back to the concept after discussing about the details of the course and all. So what have you basically understood as a simple shortcut that you take away from today's classes? If it talks about minimum, what you do is you try to take that value as 0 and see if there is no error, then 0 becomes the answer. If there is an error, that error itself will become the answer. Simple shortcut logic, because obviously we don't have that much time in CAT to think of a logic then and there. Just be prepared with shortcut after obviously having understood the entire concept, because I did not just reach the shortcut right away. I told you the concept first. For Maxima, what you do is you take minimum of all those numbers whose intersection is going to be this number. So for 2D, it was very simple. If this was missing, I know that it is going to be intersection of these two, so I took minimum of these two. But for 3, I know that if the innermost is missing, it is going to be made up of intersection of this leaf, and this leaf. So I took the minimum of those 3 numbers in that case. All right. Now let me just tell you the details of the course and then we'll come back here. And so we should be basically talking a little bit about, how you should be preparing. That's very, very important, because, what I was trying to show you in these questions also was that, sometimes you really tend to forget that there is something very basic in every concept, which becomes the biggest enemy and tries to bring negative marking for you. That's very important for you to avoid. So for example, in today's questions only, you notice that only word was very, very important. If you miss that out, definitely you're going to make a lot of mistakes there, right? So these kind of tips which work very well for you are very, very important for you to understand. And if you miss that out while preparing, that really means your preparation is not going in the right direction. So how do you find that out? First of all, as I said, whenever you're preparing for a topic, first go through the very basics of it. Even if you think that I know it, even in today's class, probably you would have thought that I just spent first 5-6 minutes telling you how to read a 2D Venn diagram. Probably it was just a waste of time for some of you who already were very well versed with 2D. But I still did that. Why? Because it's very important to start with the basics. Because when you do that, your fundamental concept is very strong and you can manage any kind of manipulation and twist and turns in the questions, right? Second tip to you is, whenever you're preparing, please put your preparation to test. That is, keep taking mocks, keep taking sectional test, keep taking chapter wise test also. Because then actually you realize that the kind of common mistakes you are doing, then analyze those mistakes and see what is the pattern of those mistakes. Are they calculation mistakes or conceptual mistakes or just silly mistakes? Remember, for silly mistakes, it's not a silly mistake. I do not call silly mistakes as silly mistakes. It's basically a conceptual error there. Calculation mistake, I do consider as silly mistakes. All right. So if you're getting confused with calculations, that means you need to practice a lot. If you are making conceptual errors and silly errors like missing the word only and that is why marking the wrong answer, that's a conceptual error. Please don't just pacify yourself by saying, oh, I just made a silly mistake. That clearly means you really need to brush up your concepts, because these kind of things only tell you that what needs to be avoided to get negative marking there, because negative marking is something that pulls your percentile badly down. And they tend to give the questions wherein a student is very likely to make a mistake and end up marking the wrong option even after solving everything correct. And that's what happened for you in that question when you missed out that word only, right? So these are the kind of tips that obviously we keep doing for our students in our online classes. So whenever we are taking up a topic, the gradual procedure is that first we discuss the theory. We provide you with an ebook also for that, so you can come prepared with the theory by reading that ebook, and then you can ask your doubts from that theory if you have. Then we start with the basic level with one or two questions, and then eventually we go to the higher level questions that are going to be the actual cat level questions. So that's how we prepare in our online classes with our students, and that's how you should be preparing. That's very important to have a guided preparation. Please remember, this exam is not just about studying. As you can see on the screen, it's more of studying and having a strategic preparation. It's very important to have a strategy. Now, what do we mean by strategy? By strategy, what we mean is that everybody is not good at a single topic. I cannot say that you all prepare for number system and you're done. Somebody would be very good at number system and somebody could be very good at algebra. So you need to identify what are your strength areas and what are your weaknesses, and how do you do that? Obviously, first step is you study a particular topic, you take its test, and when you take mock and sectional wise test or chapter wise test, then you realize that which particular topic, even after studying, was not manageable for you in terms of gaining some marks there. In fact, probably it would bring you to negative marking or just zero mark there or whatever. So those are identified as your weaknesses, and we keep guiding you because our students keep taking mocks with us, so we keep guiding them on their weakness and strength areas. But that is an individual thing. That will only happen when you take test and when you study and you put your knowledge to test, right? So that's very important part of cat preparation. So now let me just tell you what kind of details we have and what kind of material we have available for you. So why bullseye? Obviously, there are many reasons, and one of them is mentioned here. That is, we have been ranked #1 test portal by Alexa. Now, this is very important for you to know that our website has more than 20,000 hits per day. And what is the reason behind this is very important, very relevant for you. We keep updating our data as per the latest trend of the CAT exam. So our questions are very much well aligned with the actual kind of questions you are going to face in CAT, so that you don't land up in a situation of having a complete shock there, right? Yes, we provide coaching for GMAT also. So we cover GMAT, we cover GRE, we cover CAT, and we cover all other related MBA exams, be it ZAT, be it NMAT, CMAT, every exam is covered by us. And Shubhra, let me tell you that CAT preparation is the highest level of preparation. No doubt GMAT has a little bit other extra elements also. So GMAT is definitely covered as a separate batch. But all other MBA exams, if you talk about, they all get covered when you are preparing for CAT, Shubhra, right? Because CAT has the highest level of difficulty of questions. So we make our students get prepared for CAT so that they are well prepared for other exams also. So now when there are certain extra topics in other exams like ZAT, so we cover that in the form of workshops also. So we do keep that in mind, that even if a student is enrolling with us for obviously CAT preparation, obviously that student will definitely be appearing for all other kind of relevant exams also. You have to keep your options open, right? So that's very important for you. That's very good advantage that you have. That is, the material that you're going to be having with us is going to be very well aligned with the actual latest trend of questions. So that is why our CAT 19 analysis also came so quickly on that very day of the exam, within half an hour, because it was quite an easy sale for us. We already knew what kind of questions are going to be, what kind of questions were expected to be asked, and it actually matched with us. So Going ahead, what kind of free resources you have. So to access all these free resources, I'll be sharing a URL with you in the end of the session, and you can start accessing these free resources even before joining us as a paid user. So in that, you have more than 100 recorded videos, you have more than 100 assignments, more than 25 sectional and full length tests. That's quite a lot of material. So quickly start using it, because you've attended this demo. So I will be sharing a URL with you wherein you will find these free resources. So Rajni, we normally take a period of around 4 to 5 months to get finished completely with our syllabus, right, Rajni? And of course, it will be going hand in hand with all kinds of mocks and bullcats and sectional tests, chapter wise tests, reading the ebooks, having your doubt clarity on Telegram discussion group. So all these resources will be going together along with the online classes. So I'll come to that part. What are we going to provide you if you become a paid user with us? So this is a free user kind of a thing. If you become a paid user, obviously all these things are going to get exponentially higher than what is mentioned here. So you will be having more than 10,000 practice assignment questions there. You will have more than 150 recorded videos of shortcuts and of the advanced level. You will have 3 online classes in a week, one for DI, one for quant, and one for verbal. And all these sessions will also be recorded for you, and it will be there in your login throughout your preparation. So even if you want to repeat a session and you want to look at it again, you want some concept clarity again, you want to revise it, or you missed the class for some reason, it will always remain recorded in your login. So that's another very good advantage that you have. And then we have a Telegram discussion group wherein you can put up your doubts at any point of time, and somebody authorized from our side will definitely be there to help you out with your doubts, right? Then we provide you with ebook. As I said, we give you more than 100 national mock test, and we have with every chapter we have an online test, we have sectional test, full length test, we have chapter wise test. So all these things are provided to you when you become a paid user with us. So Shubhra, actually, if you talk about CAT and GMAT, more or less we are a team. So the faculties are well versed with both kind of exams. So it's not that we have a separate team for CAT or separate team for GMAT, right? So we are well versed with all kinds of exams, and we keep teaching in both kinds of streams, right, Shubhra? Yeah, but whatever special is needed for any particular exam, that of course, that kind of expertise is definitely there with the faculty who is taking up that exam, right? So these are some of our results, and we have already discussed. This is the important information for you if you are interested in joining. So you can click on this URL and see for all the kinds of details that are provided to you in the form of resources there. The coupon code that you can use if you want to avail this course at a discounted price, which is 17,999 instead of 24,999, because you've attended today's demo session. So the coupon code that you will have to mention will be CAT OCR, right? So Shubhra, if you're interested in preparing for GMAT, as I said, we already have a batch running for GMAT. We have weekend batch as well as a weekday batch for GMAT. So definitely you can go ahead with it. So I can make the admin team get in touch with you. You can definitely speak to them. You can click on this URL and you will find all the details. So if you want to prepare for GMAT specifically, so there is a separate batch for that. And if you want to prepare for both CAT and GMAT, that can also be managed, because we have a lot of students who keep both the options open. So they prepare for CAT as well as GMAT together. That option can also be kept open for you, Shubhra. All right. Okay. So now you can go ahead and ask your doubts. Anybody wants to ask anything specific about the details of the course that are going to be there for you? Okay, let me then proceed ahead. Okay, so this is the stages of your preparation that you're going to have when you join with us. Okay, Shubhra. So I was just, if you got disconnected, I'll repeat what I said for you. I said there are many students with us who prepare for both CAT as well as GMAT. So that option is also open for you. And GMAT batch is already running with us. So you can get enrolled in GMAT specifically as well. And you can take both CAT and GMAT. That's your choice. So Shubhra, I'm repeating the answer for you. So I will make the admin team get in touch with you and you can decide on what suits you best. Right, Shubhra? Yes, Shubhra, the exam pattern is going to be a little different because GMAT has more focus on English as well, right? So, but yes, as I said, CAT is the highest difficulty level exam that we have. So, with little bit of difference in GMAT. So, as I said, we have a lot of students who keep both the options open. So, what we do with them is we make them prepare for CAT, and whatever extra is there for GMAT, we get them covered in the GMAT sessions also. So that's how it is managed for people who are interested in both, right? Okay, Shubhra. So stages of your preparation will be like knowing your competition first. So that background research we keep doing for you and we keep guiding you on that. That is what kind of competition you are going to face in terms of what percentile you should be looking at. So we keep guiding our students on that. We keep doing a base research of past papers so that we are well aligned with the latest trend of the kind of topics that you need to cover. Then, as I said, you have a lot of prep resources sources with us. So identify those prep sources and please invest dedicated time on reading them and brushing up your fundamentals daily. So we keep guiding our students on that also. Then, as I said, the most important part is put your knowledge to test in the form of sectional test, mock test. Everything is very, very important throughout your preparation. So again, this kind of assistance is there from our side for our students. And then examine your growth. When you're taking these exams, it's not like a job done. You need to see what is your growth from the first mock that you took and to the second mock and then third mock, and then eventually there should be a growth pattern. And then obviously we guide our students with a proper growth pattern and we help them out. So these are some of our toppers, and I hope your picture is here next time. Now what do you do? So first of all, start taking mocks and examine yourself what topics are going bad for you. Start reading those topics from the very scratch level. Then obviously you should start always with pre-assessment module so that you understand where you stand and what you need to study. And then please do take up performance analysis test for yourself, right? So this information I've already shared with you. So this brings us to the end of the session. So any doubts that you guys have? And this URL, as I said, I'll be sharing with you. Let me just share that URL with you now. So till then, anybody has any doubts to ask for? So when you will be clicking on this URL, this page is where you will land into. So can you see a page here? Welcome to CAT 20 online classroom. So that URL will make you come to this page. All right. Can you all see this page? Are you all there? So that URL I have shared with you guys in the chat window. Can you see that? So when you will click on this URL, this page is where you're going to land into, and you will see all kinds of resources, those free resources, as well as when you become a paid user, all these resources will be available to you. So this is the live lecture recording page that you can see. So here you will be having all your live lectures recorded for you. And then when you proceed ahead, you see these course details given to you. So let me just click one such topic for you. So for example, when you enter this number system topic, so let me just show you what will happen here. Let me just keep this aside. Yeah, so you enter a particular topic. So you scroll through, you see that there will be a pre-assessment test, which will make you understand what is your level of understanding of that topic right away. And eventually you can decide you need to start from what level of understanding, right? So this is pre-assessment test that you take, and then you move ahead with some recorded videos for you. So these recorded videos, these recorded videos will give you a clarity of the shortcut. So you can see so many videos are there, right, on one topic. This is just one topic. And then you go down to live lectures. Obviously, ebook I've already explained to you. On every topic, you will have an ebook. You don't have to run around for any other book. This is a very comprehensive, very exhaustive kind of a book. Assignments on one single topic. So you can see 5 practice assignments are given, online test. And then, as I said, there's a Telegram discussion group for you to help out. And then support and help is always there. You can always reach out to us. So all these will be provided to you. And this is what we have to share with you. So I have shared the URL with you guys in the chat window that you can click right away and start at least using those free resources. And if you decide on joining, then obviously the kind of resources which I've discussed are going to be shared with you, right? Any doubts that you guys have? Anything that you want me to clarify? Okay, so then this brings me to the end of the session. All the very best to all of you. Keep safe and keep studying, because this is a very crucial time for you to make your career. Do not waste this crucial time, and study well and identify those topics for yourself which you think are not that good for you, and start reading them from very basic fundamental level. Even if you think that you know the topic, you must start reading it from the very basic, right? And then obviously eventually take the ladder up. Otherwise, obviously, there is always a chance of falling down. So, gradually climb up the ladder. That's the advice I give to you. So, keep safe and keep well. All the very best to all of you. Thank you very much, Shubhra. Thanks a lot. Okay, thanks to all of you. Good night.